And we're live. What's going on, buddy? How you been?
Good, bro. How you doing?
Chilling. Had a couple meetings today, some with contractors, and then another one. I have a friend of mine who bought a house with his wife, and he wants me to help him deal with the entire construction. So I was basically walking around with him and his wife, and my objective is just making sure that his wife is happy on this renovation because this is going to be. They already live in their property now, but they're moving to like the suburbs, and they're going to
Mhm.
start a family. So it's
Was that the
exciting.
one in Easton?
Yeah, Easton Mass. They just bought the house. They closed on it. So I have the contractor who should be starting mid-November, but in the meantime, he needs to get me like a full scope of work with numbers and stuff like that. So hopefully he'll have that to me by the end of this week.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's actually the contractor who was at our last meetup.
Okay. Oh, that guy?
The big Brazilian guy.
That guy. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So I called him. I'm using this as a test to see if he can be my South Shore guy.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Be nice to have a South Shore guy.
Yeah. So
So what is that? A single family?
there's a single family house.
And they're just renovating it, moving into it?
Correct. Yep.
Nice.
He got a nice little yard. He has a pool, in-ground pool.
That's
So,
nice.
dude, whoever built this house, from his main master bedroom, they have a sliding door to the in-ground pool, right?
Okay.
But when you open the sliding door, you step down. It's almost like a step, as if you were gonna go to the in-ground pool, but you can't go to the in-ground pool because it's a step with a railing. So, like you step, so you're in your master bedroom. You go to open the slider door to like go to your back patio for your in-ground pool. You have a
Yeah.
step and there's a railing. So the only way to get there is you have to hop the railing. So
What?
sometimes I wonder about these weird design choices.
Yeah, some of the stuff you see, man, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah. So what's going on with you? What do you got in the works? You have is your first fix and flip?
Yeah, yep. So right now we're just trying to subdivide the land, right? So essentially like a lot line adjustment. Something we've never done before. It's definitely learning a lot so far. It's crazy how in demand surveyors are. I didn't realize they're all like 8 to 14 weeks out,
Wow.
which poses a little bit of a problem.
I mean, I don't think they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs, but I didn't think
No,
they were
no.
that busy either.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And we've called probably at least half a dozen of them, and every single one of them is the same thing. So just calling around to get that squared away, because that is really like what's gonna make or break this deal. Luckily we have a contingency in there that for whatever reason it doesn't come back, that we can subdivide it, that we'll get our EMD back and we can back out of the deal.
Yeah, but
Um,
how long do you have? Do you have 13 weeks?
I've up to 6 months.
Oh, so this property is gonna be under contract for 6 months potentially?
Because it's contingent on her finding a new house.
Oh, so that's buying you time.
Right. So what we did, instead of doing like closing on it and doing a post inspection or like a post possession until she found a house, we're like, because we don't want to hold money. So we're like, why don't we just make it contingent on you finding a place that'll buy you time? Because then if we don't have to close on it right away and we don't have to hold money, then we'll give you enough time to go find whatever house that you need, because we're not holding money as long as you give us permission to do whatever walkthroughs for contractors and whatever site surveys need to be done before close. She has to allow us access to the property to get all of our due diligence done. So, and again, like we also have a clause in there because, I mean, even the agent that we're working with, he was like, the value is more in the land than it is the actual property itself. So I mean, if we were buying it based off of just the value of the house, we would have obviously bought it much deeper. But since we have that clause in there, we felt comfortable just kind of going forward, because if worse comes to worse and, you know, a bunch of surveyors come back and say we can't do it, then we just back out.
Well, would it be the surveyors who make that ultimate decision, or would it be like the building department? Who gets the say to say you can or cannot subdivide this lot?
Yeah, so what we have to do is we have to get it surveyed to actually see if we can do it, and then we present it to the town and the town approves it.
Got it.
But the actual like work of who determines whether it's subdividable would be the actual like surveying company, because what they're going to do is they're going to take their surveys, make sure, because I think the only caveat on this one is there's some wetlands in the back of the parcel of land.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no town sewer, so it's on a septic. So there has to be a certain amount of distance between like your septic / like leach field and where the wetlands start.
Okay.
So I think that'd be the only issue that we're going to come across. But again, worst case scenario, we just, you know, if we don't like what we see on the survey, we can always just back out.
Yeah, absolutely. So
You know,
it's good that you have those 6 months.
yeah, no, I know exactly. It was kind of a low risk thing. So we're like, you know, whatever, if we got to spend, you know, $1,000 to see if, you know, there's something here, then whatever. It's not the worst case. And then whatever the results are, we'll just hand them over to the seller.
How much is the survey going to cost? Is it that $1,000, or they
Probably
charge?
going to be, yeah, it'll probably be close to 1,000, maybe even a little more.
Okay.
So,
I mean, rather spend 1,000 and avoid a horrific deal than
right.
to be on the hook for thousands, tens of thousands in losses, you know?
Exactly. Right. And if it does pencil out and we can subdivide it, then it's a great deal.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's, you know, easily 50 to 75,000 if we can get the land subdivided correctly.
So remind me. So let's go with the scenario where you can subdivide it. You are able to. You're still going to rehab the property that's on the first lot, and then this second lot. Are you doing a brand new development, or are you selling the lot?
We would just sell the land.
Sell the land. Okay. Okay. And then with that rehab on the property, on again, so you are able, hypothetically, you are able to subdivide. If you rehab this property, what are your numbers looking like there? Is you kind of like breaking even, or maybe slightly, you know, not crushing it, but making a slight profit, and then the big money is going to be in the mainland, or what?
Yeah. So, like on the house, I mean, our buy price is 215. We think 325 on the house.
After repair?
Yeah, after repair, we're probably thinking anywhere from probably 50 to 75,000, because we got to put the septic in and stuff. It's honestly not as bad as we thought when we walked it. We thought it was gonna be a lot worse, so it might be a little bit less than that. But again, like the land, looking at it, and from what you know, the few agents we've spoken to, they think, you know, if it's subdividable and it's buildable, that will easily get 100K for that. So, I mean, when you run the numbers with the land plus the house at the 215 price with, you know, all in, it should be a good deal. But again, like if we can't subdivide the land, then it's probably not a deal I would do.
Yeah.
Just not enough meat there.
Absolutely.
So
Definitely
if
not.
anything goes wrong, you know, we're risking breaking even or losing money.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you buying this with a hard money loan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Have you used a hard money loan before in the past?
I'm not.
Okay.
Nope.
Nice. And you were doing a lot of wholesaling. You still are doing wholesaling. But before you and I met in the Sub 2 mentorship, you were doing wholesaling full time. I imagine you might have been part of another mentorship.
Yeah, I was part of TTP, which is Talk to People. It's Brent Daniels. He's pretty close to Pace too, so I'm sure you've heard of him. But yeah, that was kind of like our first kind of serious mentorship that we did, and our first 2 wholesale deals we did, we netted over $100,000 in our first 2 deals. So we're like, oh damn, like we got something here, you know what I mean?
Oh damn, this is easy.
Yeah. I wish it was that easy still. Those were both, I think, direct mail, which is wild. The first one was actually driving for dollars. So I was still working my W-2 at the time.
So real quick, sorry to back up. Was TTP and Brent Daniels someone who got you into wholesaling? Were you already interested in wholesaling beforehand? Talk to me about that, like that beginning process for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, to go back as far as like actual real estate in general, cliche as hell, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, like every other schmuck out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, really,
Such a good book. I mean, you almost want to say something different, but it's just such a good book.
yeah, it's just so good. It's just, it's real simple. It's assets and liabilities and appreciation and taxes, just like the simple stuff that are just, unfortunately, we don't teach in schools. I wish there was more financial education in schools as far as like the tax code and appreciation and inflation and teaching, people really what, how money works. So that was like my first introduction to investing and all that. And then, with real estate and, just starting out trying to think of ways to do it on a low budget, and that kind of just leads you right to wholesaling because that's what everyone says. No money, you can make, the usual spiel that you hear
I
from.
also no money out of pocket.
Yeah, every the spiel. So started looking to wholesaling, and that's when I came across Brent Daniels and just how most people kind of gravitate towards somebody. I kind of liked what I was hearing and went down the YouTube kind of rabbit hole for a few months, and then decided that it'd probably be a good idea for us to just join since we're watching all his videos and get a little hands on with it, and that kind of sprung us to where we are now. So.
Those first two wholesale deals, where were they?
First one was in Methuen,
Methuen, Mass.
Massachusetts, and the second one was out in Shutesbury, Massachusetts, which is kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Shutesbury, not Shrewsbury.
Oh,
Shutesbury.
Shutesbury, yes, yeah.
Is this way Western Mass? Where's this?
Yeah, it's out in Western Mass, and what's crazy is I think they literally just sold it.
Really?
Yeah,
Was this like
I think they overestimated the demand in the town.
okay? So meaning they bought it as a you wholesaled it to them, and there was a fix and flipper who bought it or something along
Yes,
those lines.
yeah. This was like 2 years ago.
And they just sold that house, meaning there's like hardly any. It was on the market for like a year or something.
Yeah, I think it's been on the market for a while, and I think the rehab took forever too.
I've been there for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So kind of a double whammy on that one, but they eventually got it sold. I mean, it was a good deal. I mean, if he was able to wrap it up quicker and I think get it listed quicker, it probably would have worked out better. But it was a great deal for us.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we started this conversation where, the person who's going to be helping me do my friend's and his wife's rehab on their house. I'm hoping that this is the guy, the GC general contractor who can kind of take that, manage the projects for us while because you and I already done some work together, doing some
Right.
joint venture work with other students and things like that, closing deals over the phone. I think that's where our time is best spent is on the phone, speaking with sellers and helping them solve their problems.
Yeah, we're not construction guys.
No, I mean, I can manage them, but at the same time, I just realized where our time is better spent. My time is better spent speaking with people on the phone and closing deals versus
Right.
painting doors and trim.
We're sales guys, man. We gotta put our strengths where they're supposed to be,
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I actually think we're gonna be doing a flip with Fitzy.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Fitzy wanted to invest.
He does now, I think. When he saw the numbers,
Bugging his ear or what?
when he saw the numbers and how much he's gonna make off of this thing.
So who's Fitzy for anybody who might be listening?
Okay, all right, yeah. So Fitzy is our friend Matt Fitzgerald. He's a buddy of mine. We met through a mutual friend about probably like 10 years ago now in Nashua, New Hampshire, and just kind of always stayed in touch. And just so happens I fell into real estate, and then I would say probably a year and a half now, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. He got into the real estate more on the conventional side as a mortgage broker. Actually just got promoted to sales manager, so I want to congrats to Matt Fitzgerald on
You're
that.
welcome, Fitzy.
So yeah, no, it's been great, but it's actually his grandmother's house in Nashua. So we're thinking of possibly helping him flip that. So that'll be pretty cool.
So if this goes through, is grandma selling the house to Fitzy, or are you guys basically gonna
So
fix it up and then sell it for grandma?
yeah, so what we would do is he would essentially buy it. So the family is gonna sell it to him for like a set price, cash. So we're gonna get hard money. I'm gonna raise the private money, get all the contractors together, and we're gonna flip it and then split the profit however way we want to do it.
Question:
So
does grandma have a mortgage on this property?
no.
I think you already know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, no. It's a flip all day.
Why don't you guys just do the rehab out of pocket so you don't have to get hard money? There's no
It's
mortgage. It'll just save you
it's
so much
we're,
money on holding costs.
that's probably what we're gonna do is we're just because I don't want to really get into it. It's kind of like a thing between him and his family, but that's we're gonna try and just agree on a price and then flip it and then pay him after we flip it.
Okay, so there's potential for novation then.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that'd be the best way to do it. Yeah.
All right. So if you had to explain a novation agreement to a 5-year-old, how would you do it?
To a 5-year-old.
Right?
Okay.
Because there are a bunch of people outside of our circle
Okay.
of influence. Rather, let me just the reason why I'm asking this is because if there are a bunch of people outside of our circle of influence, when we
Mhm.
use this lingo and this terminology, they're gonna hear novation agreement. They're like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
All right, so I'll put it like this. If you're a little kid and you have a bicycle and the bicycle is like all broken, and you could say, hey, how about instead of me buying this off of you for $1 and fixing it up and selling it for $5, okay,
Mhm.
why don't I just pay for the materials, we fix it up together, and I'll pay you $1.50 instead of $1
When you sell it for 5.
when I sell it for 5, right? Or I'll give you $2 or whatever,
Got it.
right? I'm trying to think of an example of like a 5-year-old. I don't know. Does that work?
It works for me. So basically, let's use it like, or even a car, right?
Right.
You know, let's say you have an old beat up car that's worth $1,000. So almost the same numbers, just add a couple zeros.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth $1,000 as is. Might need a few tires. Maybe the engine's not bad, but maybe you just need to fix a couple things in the engine. It'll cost $1,000 to fix it. So essentially, I can get a loan for $1,000 from a bank or a friend, pay interest on that loan, and buy your car for $1,000, which will cost me money, and then the banks and the people loaning the money will make money.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put $1,000 into it. I sell it for 5. Good, I'm happy. But it's the cost of getting that loan. It's only $1,000, but with real estate, it's usually a lot heavier of a cost. Instead, I say, hey, John, how about I just put the $1,000 into this? We sign an agreement. I'll fix it up right now before I even purchase it from you. And then when I sell it, instead of you getting $1,000, I'll give you $2,000.
Right.
So what
Right.
you're doing is you're saving me the cost it takes to get that loan.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's definitely a great strategy for, typically people who you don't necessarily have to own a house free and clear, but for a house that typically has a lot of meat on the bone, a lot of equity, but it does need a lot of rehab, because when you use hard money lenders basically going to lend on a hard asset.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very convenient money, but it's very expensive money.
Yeah.
And I know you know this because you and I talk all the time, but for people who have never used a hard money loan, they have no idea how many fees and how much cost it takes just to originate the loan, let alone the interest that they're charging you every single month.
It's insane.
Dude, when I make it big, I think I might want to be a hard money lender.
Yeah, I know. And and sellers are always like, I don't know. They're always saying our offers are lowball offers. I always chuckle when I hear that. I'm like,
Mhm.
you flip a house and you'll be offering the same price as I'll be offering.
Flip a house and make zero profit, and you'll understand now why I'm lowballing you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, then you'd want to. Yeah, then you'll start buying it deep.
Yeah,
But no, it's a good strategy too, and it's a good way to kind of differentiate yourself from maybe some other people that they're talking to, other investors, right? You know, 5, 10, 15 grand to a seller's, you know, can get you the deal versus not getting you the deal. So I guess, you know, it really goes back to just any way that we can get creative and make it a win-win for the seller, put more money in their pocket and get a fix and flip in our pipeline. Like, you know, we do pretty much whatever it takes to put deals together.
absolutely. Yeah, and kind of piggybacking off of what you just said as well. You know, we gave an example with the bicycle and with the car, but with houses, obviously the numbers are much bigger, and the cost of acquiring and the cost of holding these properties is a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
So if that cost is going to equal, let's say my buying and holding cost with a hard money lender is going to be $30,000. Well, now I can tell Bob, who's selling me the house, like, hey, you're saving me $30,000 by using this strategy. So I'd be willing to give you 15 of that 30. So now instead of you getting $100,000 for your house, I can give you 115. That's literally $15,000 in their pocket.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I love it. So
Yeah.
I would say my only critique, me personally, just because I'm a little bit of a control freak, is you do not take the title, you do not own the property, so you just need to make sure your paperwork is in line, which we have these things called transaction coordinators in the real estate world, where you should absolutely be using them to help you set all this up for you.
Yeah. I mean, again, like we see it over and over again. Creative deals are a lot different than conventional deals. So it makes sense to get your paperwork right and just, you know, just hand it off to somebody else because, you know, we've seen firsthand that, you know, if you don't have all your ducks in a row, stuff can go bad, right? So you got to just make sure you're, you know, using the resources, or if you don't know what you're doing, whether it be structuring a deal or whatever, like, I mean, we push this all the time, but it's true. Just go find somebody that knows how to structure it or knows how the paperwork's supposed to look, and then split the deal with them and absorb their knowledge, right? Like, um, even Pace says all the time, like, there's levels to this shit. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know everything. There's always someone out there that knows more than you do. So why not like do whatever you can to partner with them and try and suck some of that knowledge out of them and absorb it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Would you say when again, I want to just continue this novation conversation, but in my mind, tell me if you agree or disagree. Novation is very ideal for a house that is like a lipstick rehab, like just needs paint, new flooring, and maybe paint or new cabinets. Very easy, light rehab. Well, what about a house that needs like a full gut down to the bones and build back up? Maybe this project's going to take you 8 to 10 months, or maybe even a year. What is your thought process on it? I'm assuming you would rather use innovation for a quick lipstick rehab versus, a longer hold. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of case to case too. Like,
Case by case basis. Okay.
yeah, and also like, as you know, some sellers you can trust, some sellers you can't. Like, you kind of, I'm sure you get a feel for the seller. Like, if you can tell the seller is kind of squirmy or like not 100% committed on or 100% on board, then yeah, I would probably, you know, for a longer project, I'd probably rather go the sub 2 route or the seller finance route where I'm actually taking title. But again, it's really because essentially what you're doing is you're partnering with the seller, right? It's essentially a partnership with the seller. So it really comes down to the relationship you have with the seller and the conversations that you've had and how comfortable you feel doing it that way. But yeah, obviously there's less risk the less you hold it, because that's less time for them to do anything, I guess, to throw off the project. But again, it also comes down to your paperwork. Like, how is your paperwork structured? You can also, you know, structure your paperwork in a way that puts you in a strong position.
Okay.
So I guess it really comes down to what your risk tolerance is and what your comfort level is with the seller and what the deal looks like, right? I mean, if there is a ton of meat on the bone and you can just take title and it's not going to kill the deal, like might as well just go that way and be 100% secure. But again, like you said, if it's a lipstick deal and the numbers are tight and you're trying to get in and out of it as quickly as possible for as least amount of money, then novation may be your only option.
Yeah. Yeah. We were looking at a deal in Lowell, Massachusetts, where it was a pretty lipstick rehab, but at the same time, the numbers are pretty skinny.
Do you know, did that end up going to like a wholesale homestead buyer, or was that like a flipper that bought that?
So my agent Jess, who was the one who presented us this deal, she gave me very limited information. I was like, all right. She's like, they're gonna go with another offer that's higher than yours. I'm like, okay. How much is the offer? And she's like, I can't tell you that, Jonathan. So I'm just like, whatever. Like, I get it. She's very on the up and up when it comes to being a real estate agent. It's annoying as an investor, but now that I have to sell a house with someone else, I appreciate her.
Right. Yeah.
So kind of going through a nightmare situation on another property with, just someone who's selling the property for me, and they're just, the customer service is not on the same level as hers. And I guess you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I've only sold houses with her.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's because, again, like technically you could have moved right in there.
Yeah.
Like, right. I mean, that wasn't like a cash only kind of deal. I think that would have definitely qualified for financing.
Potentially, yeah. I believe it is an investor who bought the house with plans to fix it up and sell it, but I don't know for sure. And I'm wondering, how are they able to do more than us? And they're going to use hard money. They're going to use some type of loan to acquire that property, which is going to incur a lot of costs, and those costs are going to eat into the thin margins that were already existing in this property.
So I lost an offer out to a guy, and I talked to the agent, and he was like, yeah, the guy that bought it is using cash, not hard money, and he's got his own crew. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna beat that.
Yeah, you can't beat that at all. I mean,
Yeah.
what was the purchase price?
It was like, I want to say like 325 maybe.
325,000. So, I mean, this guy doesn't think like you and I think. I think you know where I'm going with this, right? Because that $325,000 that he used to put into that one property, you and I could use that to buy 3 or 4 properties.
Right. I mean, that's what the agent told me. I don't know. It could be private money, because that's another thing too, is like, if you can have enough private money to buy the asset and do the rehab where you don't have to get hard money, like that can really, really help. Because think about it, like you said, I mean, $500,000 house with a, $125,000 rehab, you're looking at 4 to 6 months. I mean, that's 40 grand in holding costs and hard money costs easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
a huge chunk of the profit.
Right. Like that's huge. Right.
If you just get a hard money lender and just pay them straight interest, and they don't have all these like origination fees and paperwork fees. It's just promissory note, deed of trust, so that way their money is secured by the asset.
Just give them a flat fee at the end.
Yeah. Love it.
You don't have to worry about payments and draws and all that BS.
Mm-hmm. I've had a few private money lenders myself who've actually lended directly from their IRAs and investment accounts.
Yeah.
And a decent amount of I feel like if you're in the real estate world, you know that you can do that. But I feel like a lot of people outside of real estate have no idea that they can do that.
It's a bunch of capital just sitting there locked up.
Yeah. And these accounts that probably aren't earning much. They're probably not even beating inflation lately.
I was going to say, I mean, inflation is what, 6, 7. If inflation is 6, 7% and you're not getting 6, 7% on your money, you're losing money, right?
I mean, you know what? You just made me super curious. So I actually want to see. Let's see if I can present in this.
Is that how it works?
Slides. So I want to actually see some. Hold on, let me see if this works. I've never done this before on this platform.
If you have 6% inflation and you're making 6% on your money, you're essentially breaking even. Like your money's not losing value, but it's not gaining value.
Yeah, it's just sitting stagnant in your account.
But I'm saying, like, you're not losing purchasing power, but you're not really gaining purchasing
Can you
power.
see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Let's see. U.S. inflation rate by year.
Sure. Or just
So inflation was at 4.7. I think I saw something the other day saying that it was higher in 2022. Let's see.
I mean, it's
U.S.
the
inflation.
inflation rate right now.
I might be searching this wrong. Hold on. I need a current U.S. inflation rates 2000 to 2023. This is U.S. inflation calculator. How about something like .gov? Inflation rate, BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I don't know. It's saying like around
2022, most of the year was over 6% inflation.
yeah. It went all the way up to like 8. It's right around like 4 right now.
Yeah. Right now it's at 4. I feel like what is normal? Is it like 2 or 3?
Yeah, like 2 to 3% is usually normal.
Okay. Well, are we back? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not gonna call him out on this first episode podcast, but I have a friend of mine who was telling me about how he has like a considerable amount of money in a CD. It's like a bank certificate of deposit getting 5%, and I'm just like, bro, I was like, you could be doing like double that in hard assets that your money is secured by the asset. And
Dude.
in his mind, he's like, yeah, my money is guaranteed in this, and in real estate, it's not. And I was like, sure.
I mean, technically he's right, but again, like it's risk reward, right? I mean, if someone's offering you 30%, there's probably a considerable risk. But again, like where inflation's going, is that 5% really doing much for you?
Yeah, I mean, literally. So he's a perfect example of somebody who's just breaking even. His money just basically stagnant. So at least he's not losing money. It's not depreciating, but it's really just stagnant. It's not growing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Even if the actual number does look bigger at the end of his certificate of deposit, but it's just going to be because of inflation, it's worth the same amount, which you and I both know. And I honestly don't believe that investing in whether it's a fix and flip or a buy and hold and getting 10 to 12%, which is literally double to more than double what he's getting right now. I don't know. You and I maybe just have a different risk tolerance. I don't feel like it's as risky as they make it out to be.
No, definitely not.
No.
And again, like
why is it not that risky? How can people who are interested or maybe even thinking about potentially doing some private money lending, how can they feel reassured knowing that their money is safe, even if you don't know what the hell you're doing with a fix and flip, which we shouldn't be giving your money to people who have no idea what they're doing, but for the sake of the argument.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you get a deed of trust, right, which is secured by real estate when a lien position. So if you were to get like hard money, they would be in first position, you would be in second position. So
it's a mortgage.
Essentially, yeah. It's a deed of trust, the mortgage, yeah. So you're secured by the asset. So worst case scenario and everything goes south, what would happen is the first lien position holder would take over and sell off the asset, and then you would get, whatever's left. But again, right, like if you have a hard money lender involved, they're going to look at that asset and loan on it and put it in a position to where, like, if stuff goes wrong, they're in a safe position that they can take over and at least get their money back. And then the second lien holder, if that is not secure enough for you as a second position lien holder in the property, you can also they call it cross collateralize, which is essentially if you own other assets, they can put a lien against another asset of yours, just to make sure that if anything does really go south, that they are 100% protected. That if the asset that they're lending on doesn't cover whatever you owe them, they have a lien position on whatever other assets you have.
So that's like if I borrow money to fix and flip 123 Main Street, but I also own a buy and hold property on 1234 Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
They put a lien against 1234 Main Street. So if 123 Main Street goes to crap and I get foreclosed on, their money is still protected by a hard asset that's currently cash flowing.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Now, so that's they're in second lien position if we need to use hard money. But if there's somebody, whether it's one person or a group of people who are able to provide all the funds for the purchase, then they would be not in second position, they would be in first position, which is
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're just think of it as like who gets paid first and who gets paid second. Right. Like if you're, if you have a loan for $50 and second position has a loan for 20, is a total of 70,000. And you sell the asset for 90,000, 20 grand goes in your pocket, and then lien position 1 gets their 50, lien position 2 gets their 20. So it's just order essentially.
Yep, absolutely. No, that makes sense to me. Got it. Yeah, man. So all right, you got this property on the contract. You got anything in the pipeline?
Yeah. So that one in Nashua, hopefully with Fitzy, we're gonna start getting some inspectors and stuff through there to see kind of what we got to do. We got Dean cranking on the texting, so we finally that's took a little bit longer to get set up, but and then we put a couple offers on a few fix and flips today, so hopefully we'll hear back from those.
You and I have something going on tomorrow, don't we?
We do, yes. We have a closing in North Carolina tomorrow.
Dude, did you ever think that we'd be buying a property in North Carolina?
I did not see that coming. Nope, especially not in Rowland.
Not Raleigh, Rowland. Rowland. Somebody from North Carolina, please correct us.
I know. Yeah, or if you want to buy a house in Rowland, call us.
Yeah. So
we got one for sale.
For somebody who's looking to get into the fix and flip game, but this house needs everything.
If you're looking for a project, we got one.
Yeah. So, tell us, tell people how we got this project.
Yeah. So this one was actually, again, to go back to the power of community and partnering with people. This one actually came through a student that we partner with. Essentially, he was running PPC campaigns, and what he would do is he would run his campaigns as a lead came in. His VA would qualify him, and then he would push him over to a Zoom call with us where we would hop on the phone with the seller. And this one was a tax lien foreclosure, and got on the phone with the seller, found out that they were sitting on kind of a ticking time bomb, and price really wasn't the issue. Time was more the issue, and pretty much positioned it as, hey, if we can, take care of this problem for you, this tax lien foreclosure, and put a little money in your pocket just to have this go away with that, with that kind of fix what you're, solve your problem essentially. And turned out it was, so ended up locking that one up. And yeah, we should be closing on it tomorrow, and we'll see what happens, what we do with it. Hopefully we can find a, someone that will buy it seller finance and flip it that way, or worst case, we'll just hold on to it and flip it in a few months or down the road.
Yeah. The good thing is we have options, and also to the student who brought us the deal is going to make a couple grand on it as well.
Yep.
So he'll get a nice little payday. So that's good.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually, I've been meaning to tell you, we need to call one of the leads that he got us all the way up in Maine. We need to follow up with him to see if we can close on that deal. Because Z, one of our other friends in Maine, was asking me like, hey, when are you getting this property under contract? So
wild.
We got to buy it.
Wild.
Yeah. So if we can lock that one up, it's practically in Canada, but
yeah,
we might be able to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, we're gonna need boots on the ground. Yeah. I ain't driving up there.
Yeah, I'm not driving up there. No. To give you guys, perspective, from Boston, this would probably be like a 10 or 12-hour drive.
Probably. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So, but yeah, we got some exciting stuff in the works.
For sure.
And
what do you got going on?
So we got a fix and flip that I'm partnering on with the owner in Attleboro. So I'm basically helping her out of a crappy situation where her previous partner was doing a really crappy job on the rehab, and they got a stop work order from the town. They had a falling out, and I'm basically coming in as like the knight in shining armor to fix the project and get it done. And we signed the proper paperwork for the JV agreement. We had a lawyer drafted up. So we have that going on. That's already, the house is being sided. We have that. That's in full force. Manchester, New Hampshire, we have a rehab that was completely finished and it's on market as we speak. So anyone who's looking for a property in Manchester, New Hampshire, 50 Bar Street. I probably shouldn't have said that, but that's fine. And we have a property that we bought in Quincy, which is literally a 5 to 10 minute walk from my house, which we are going to be fixing up. And I think Veronica and I may be moving into it.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet.
Which is good and bad, because that means she's going to be more involved in the rehab, which means she's going to provide me with some more stress and headaches.
Yeah, that thing's going over budget.
Yeah. Oh, fun times.
Yeah, love it.
But yeah. But yeah, man, we just got to keep cranking. And, you and I need to, I think you and I definitely need to step up our JV and start reaching out to more people. I think we're at that point now where we can kind of start focusing more on our calls.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I think as we start to do more and more, then we're going to start to have more and more stories, like we have with the one in North Carolina, and then hopefully potentially one up in Maine. And I just like the idea of being able to help other people with closing the deals, and also making sure, like, when they actually see, like, when they get paid, it becomes real.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I want to be able to provide that for as many people as possible.
For sure, dude. Yeah, we're going to keep doing our thing, man. I'm sure you'll be back on my show, and I'm sure I'll be on here multiple times.
We'll be talking about all types of stuff and joking.
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time coming out, and until next time.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Take it easy.